Hello and welcome to this video. This is Mark Soberman with the Premier Trader University. So in this video I wanted to take you through some of the real main advantages to really launching your new trading career with the Premier Trader University, and also take you through a demonstration how the trading system works so you can see how you'll be able to use it in your day-to-day trading and in your new trading career as quickly as possible. Now, I realize some of you may have experience in trading the markets, and some of you may come into this with very minimal to no experience. And that's one of the best things about the NetPicks Premier Trader University. You can be really a beginner, or you could be advanced, and there's absolutely something here for you. So let's talk a little bit about launching your new trading career. Let's start with that. Why trading? We want to cover in this quick presentation why trading is really what I consider an ideal business opportunity. You'll also have to think about trading stocks versus futures versus Forex versus options, and these are things that we can decide later on, but it's good to know some of the pros and cons between those. You may have heard things like day trading versus swing trading, so it's important to know the differences and the distinctions between the two. Something that I call WYSIWYT, which I realize at the moment probably doesn't mean a lot to you, but I want to talk about that as well. And then I'm going to give you a demonstration of the PTU, the Premier Trader University trading system. And finally, one of the last points is how you really grow your business and scale your business. There is simply no better business opportunity to be in where you can scale and grow, I feel, than trading. And I think you're going to agree with me once you see how that can be done. So this is all about just joining the university and mastering a business and set of skills that you'll be able to use for a lifetime of success. So hopefully a lot of you know who we are. We were founded way back in 1996, so if you don't, we are very close to entering our second, really I should say almost our third decade of being in business. We've worked with traders from literally dozens of different countries, tens of thousands of people over the years, so you're in great hands when you become part of the NetPicks team and consider becoming part of the Premier Trader University. This is Mark Soberman, as you can see, and this is just some of the team that helps me support the PTU University. So why should you pursue trading? One of the real keys is that there's unlimited opportunity. Literally every single day, billions of shares, contracts, and pairs are traded. Now, I realize you may not, again, if your experience is very new to this, you may not know all of what I'm talking about when I say a contract or even a share, but just know this is a huge global business that literally takes place every single day. We need a very tiny percentage of that to have an effective business on our own. So you always want to go into something where you know there's just massive scale. The startup capital is very controlled, it's very minimal, and if you compare it to virtually any other business in the world that's worth being in, you'd be amazed how low the actual startup capital requirements can be with trading. There's controlled leverage. I mean, leverage is always important when it comes to investing, but it's also very important that you can control it. You don't want to have too much leverage, as you know. So it's great that you can control it and also control your risk and reward. Every single time we enter into a trade, we know everything about what we're risking as well as what the potential rewards and odds of success are for that trade. You've got no employees, limited overhead. I mean, it's hard to beat when you think about trading versus really any other business in the world where it typically requires a lot of overhead, a number of employees, and a lot of different outside stressors that you just simply do not have when you're self-employed as a trader. You definitely can decide your own hours, you can decide your own schedule, whatever works for you. It's definitely what I consider a part-time commitment with full-time income potential. We always talk about one of our mantras here being get in, get out, get done. This is not about turning trading as a career into a marathon. There's no reward for spending more time, right? That's one of the great things about it. Again, most businesses you go into, typically people feel that the more time you spend, the better you'll do. And you know what? Normally that's correct. But one of the beauties of trading is it's really the exact opposite. If we minimize our time commitment, we're going to maximize our income potential. So let's talk a little bit about stocks versus options versus futures versus Forex. And again, I don't have time in this short video to cover all the ins and outs, but a lot of people are familiar with stock trading. You buy shares in something like Apple Computer or Microsoft or Google. Typically, you need at least $10,000 or more in startup capital, and really to successfully, actively trade, it can even be $25,000 or more. So the capital requirements on stock really tend to be the highest when you compare it to all the other instruments that we'll talk about in a moment. But at least 10,000, and something we call swing trading is really ideal when it comes to stock. You can day trade stock, but really we would encourage most people to consider slowing it down and looking more at swing trading. Now, options trading, and I realize again, if you're new to this, you may not know exactly what options trading is, but it gives you the opportunity to basically rent a stock for less. You get more leverage. It requires a smaller startup capital. There are some disadvantages that work into it, but it can be a way to go ahead and focus on stocks, but do it with less startup capital and quite a bit more leverage overall. So some people in the beginning in particular like that opportunity because the percentage returns can be considerably higher than trading the stock instruments. Now, we move into futures, which is one of the areas that's our favorite. If you want to consider day trading, you need about $5,000 or more in startup capital, but I would say this is the best segment for day trading overall. And now again, if you're not familiar with what futures trading is, it's a little bit different. This is not the proper forum to kind of go over all that, but just so you know, you can trade baskets of stock, you can trade commodities such as crude oil, gold, silver, but you do all these with leverage, with tremendous liquidity and the ability to get in and out of these markets literally in a split second. It is probably the best opportunity if you want to consider day trading. Which brings us to Forex trading, which is basically the foreign currencies, the US dollar, the euro dollar, the British pound, the Aussie dollar, etc. So it's all getting involved in foreign currencies. It has the smallest startup capital requirements, $1,000 or more, very, very doable. There's a lot of leverage available. We, of course, want to use just a minimal amount of it, but it's nice to know that the scale and the leverage is there. It can be very effective for both day or swing trading, so you've got some flexibility overall. And a lot of people do many times start with Forex trading, and then maybe they grow into things such as futures trading and eventually scale into options or stock trading. It doesn't necessarily have to go that way. It's not as if that's the beginning place and stock trading is the advance. It's not at all. You may literally start in one of these like futures trading and never go anywhere beyond that. But just know these are some of your opportunities and some of the best ways overall to trade these. Now, day trading, if you know, takes about 1 to 2 hours a day is what you're going to need to commit. Many times we're done in 15 minutes, but I always tell people you need to think about 1 to 2 hours a day commitment because some days will take longer. Some of the real big advantages is you have no overnight exposure. When we're done for the day, we're done for the day. Nothing can go wrong once we walk away from our computer. Minimal stress, like I say, for 22 hours a day. You have no stress. But you have maximized stress for 1 to 2 hours when you're actively involved in the markets. There's a lot of action, which is great, but more effort is required. But one of the also big advantages of day trading is the fact that you can quickly recover. So if you have a losing trade, your very next trade could occur in 30 seconds. And psychologically, that can be nice to know that you can recover and get back into it very quickly. Now, swing trading is cool because it requires much lower amount of time. On average, 15 to 30 minutes is going to be more than enough. Sometimes it can be 5 minutes on a day on average. You do not need to monitor every little movement of the markets you're trading. In fact, we always tell people to place your trades and walk away and don't even look at it again until the next time you're supposed to check on the market. That dramatically lowers the stress, as you can imagine. And you can trade on a swing trade basis from anywhere in the world. You can travel for business, go on vacation. It's not that difficult to go ahead and maintain your trading. Whereas day trading, we would never typically recommend that. You really need to be at your home base when you day trade. You do have overnight exposure. You do have the potential for that 24-hour-a-day, 5-day-a-week potential stress because your trades can be influenced any time of day or night, and it does require some patience because it does not have the same activity that day trading has. So that's some of the pros and cons between the two, which brings us to what you see is what you trade, which is WYSIWYT. What you see is what you trade. This is hugely important. I'm about to go over to the live charts really quick and show you a bit about how the Premier Trader University looks on a chart. And you're going to see that it's extremely visual. You will always know exactly where to get into a market, whether it's a stock, a forex, a futures, and exactly where to get out. There are too many trading systems out there where this is simply not on the screen. It leaves too much subjectivity, too much guesswork, too much uncertainties. So I stress that when you trade with the Premier Trader University systems, it will always be what you see is what you trade. All right, let's go ahead and take a look at the trading system. Okay, so what you're looking at right now is a chart. And again, I realize we have different levels of experience listening to this video. So again, if you're new to trading, don't worry about all the colors and things that we'll call indicators on the screen. If you have some experience, of course, it'll make a little bit more sense to you. That's the whole idea behind the university, making sure you have all the training you need to understand everything that's going on the screen. But what you need to know are just some real basics. In this case, this is a chart of the Russell E-mini futures. You may not know what that is, but basically this is day trading futures like we talked about, and it's focusing on the mid-cap, the middle-sized stocks, a basket really of 2,000 different stocks that you can trade in one instrument. And the way that it works, remember what I said, what you see is what you trade? We will in advance be told by the system to buy right here, and we'll go ahead and place that just like if you were to walk into a store, you would go ahead and buy at that price. In addition, you would in advance know that you want to sell at this price right here, and you would be given the exact sales price where to go ahead and take your profits. And we would also tell you in advance where to go ahead and exit in case the trade is actually incorrect and the market moves against us. It's possible when you place a trade that it could go against your position. There's no guarantee in trading. We're always putting the odds, of course, in our favor. So that's the way that this works. So we go ahead and we place this trade on a day trade in this example. And when the market moves through that price, where it does right here, we are now owning this basket of stocks with this futures contract. And we have really great leverage. And what I mean by that is every tick, which is really every 10 cents in this market, that this one goes up, we will make $10. So let's talk about that for a moment. So I brought up this data window here, and you know, I realize there's a lot going on here, but all you need to focus on is this entry price. We bought at $781.10, and we are going to exit at our second target, which is $785.10. The difference, if you subtract $785.10 from $781.10, is $4. Well, if you remember what I said, every 10 cents this goes up, you make $10. Every dollar it goes up, you make $100 per contract you trade. So when this trade went up to here, we made $400 on this trade. And by the way, this can many times be done in 5 minutes, 10 minutes, 15 minutes, 20 minutes. And remember what we talked about starting account sizes, you can see the potential for the percentage returns can be quite high overall. And you always know in advance what your risk is and what your reward is. So this is the way that the futures market works. And there's a number of different markets you can trade this way. I'm showing you the Russell E-mini, but you can trade oil futures, gold futures, silver futures, the S&P 500. We have a number of different options and opportunities available to us. I wanted to jump over and take a look at a different market, which in this case is crude oil futures. Again, we're talking day trading for the moment. I just wanted to show you the way that this works, including on the downside. We don't have to just buy. A lot of people, when they get involved in the markets, they're always thinking like mutual funds, where you just buy and you hope markets go up. There's a lot of profit to be made when markets go down as well, and it's called shorting or selling the market. And we have no bias. We are completely neutral. We look to make money and profits when markets go up. We look to make money and profits when markets go down. Either way is fine for us. Again, this works exactly the same way as the last market, but now I'm just trading a different instrument. I'm going to go ahead and sell crude oil at 88.74. Remember, what you see is what you trade. You are given this in advance. You'll know your target in advance. You'll know your stop in advance in case we're wrong on the setup. And we go ahead and we go short, or we sell at 88.74. And in this case, we're looking for a target of 88.15, meaning I want this to go down to make money. And in this case, from 88.74, right, to 88.15, you may go ahead and say, well, how far is that? So let's go ahead and do a quick math. 88.74 minus 88.15 is actually 59 cents. Now, this market is different on its leverage and scale. For every penny that it moves, you make $10. Little different than the Russell E-mini futures. So in this move, we made $590 per contract. Now remember this per contract, because in a little bit I'm going to talk to you about scale, how we can actually grow this times 2, times 3, times 4, etc., which is one of the great things about trading. But again, very clear on the chart, and this is the system that you're going to learn when you attend the university. Now, as I mentioned, this is not all day trading. You may very well choose to focus on stocks and options and really what we consider a swing trade. So this is Apple Computer. This is a great market to trade on a swing trading basis, meaning not on a day trade. The trades can take 1, 2, 3, 4 days, sometimes less. Sometimes they move quickly, and we can both buy, as you can see here, or we can sell, as you can see here, and we can profit in either direction. Same exact way that it works. We know when we enter a trade, the trade isn't guaranteed to work. It's possible the trade will come down on this buy and will take us out, but we always know what our risk is. In addition, we always know exactly what we're targeting and when to get out of the market. If we decide to short the market like we do here, we always know if the trade goes against us, we'll go ahead and take our loss. If the trade goes our way, we'll know exactly where to clear out, go flat, which means exit the market, and wait for the next opportunity. You'll notice everything visually looks very much the same as this stock chart did to the crude oil and to the Russell E-mini. And as I show you stocks and futures, and we'll end with Forex, you're going to realize that when you learn this one system and this one set of skills, you're going to actually possess the ability to trade stocks, futures, Forex, and options, which is, again, one of the real benefits, because as you grow your trading business, you may want to seek out additional opportunities. All right, so let's go ahead and end this with just a quick visual look at Forex currency. In Forex, you can both swing trade or you can day trade. This is an example of a swing trade. In this case, I'm using the euro over the Australian dollar, which may be new to you, but we also trade the euro US dollar and a number of other currency pairs. On the swing trade, when it comes to Forex, these can be very large moves overall. For instance, the move from here, which is, as you can see, an entry at 1.2003, which may not mean a lot to you, I realize, at this point, down to here is, in this case, very close to about 150 pips overall. And this move here from, in this case, 1.1825 all the way down to here on our exit is close to 180 pips. And the way that a pip works in the Forex markets, it can be as small as 10 cents. It can be $1. It can be $10, for instance. So you can see the scale can be quite large on these trades as well. This can be an $1,800 move in what we consider a full-sized standard pair. It can be a $180 move approximately in what's considered a mini. And even smaller, if you have a smaller account and you use a lot less leverage, you can do that overall. And it varies based upon the way currency pairs work. This is all something we're going to teach you. They don't all work in the exact same 10 cent, $1, $10 increments, but it gives you a good example nonetheless. So you can see the real opportunities with the trading system. I hope you see that even though I don't expect somebody to fully understand and master the trading system in those few minutes looking at the charts, you can see how quickly you probably can go ahead and learn what's going on, because it wasn't that hard to follow where we would get in. It wasn't that hard to follow where we would exit. I realize you need to have a lot more of the context behind those various markets and helping you choose between the markets, but you should really see that the ability to learn and master this is well within everybody's reach. Now, growing your business, one of the final advantages, I don't think there's any other business in the world that you can double or triple or more your business as easily as trading. All it requires is literally moving your finger over on the keyboard, and rather than trading one of something, you trade 2 or 3. Now, you want to make sure that your capital grows, that your account size grows. That's going to give you permission to scale. But think of any other business in the world where you can double, triple, quadruple, and it doesn't require any additional time, any additional effort and really any additional capital other than reinvesting your profits into what you do. That is just one of the beautiful things about trading and the ability to scale overall. And the way that it works is very simple. We take you through all the steps from what we call prerequisites. Just like a college or university, you do your undergraduate and you end with your major. And we take you through all this in the comfort of your home or office. We take you through all this much more rapidly than you would ever consider going to a university. Most people, when they enroll, getting through everything from the prereq through the major really takes typically 30 days or less. So I appreciate you spending the time with me on this demonstration and on this video. I hope you learned a lot about the Premier Trader University and what it's going to be able to do for you as you go ahead and pursue your trading career. This is Mark Soberman with NetPicks and the PTU. Thanks a lot for listening.